Okay, guys, here we are. August 31st, Monday, 8 a.m. lecture. Let's start getting some bodies in here. Got my canvas open. There we go. Say hi as you check in, please. Oscar, good morning. Miss Paulino, Nathan Brown, what up? Let me start getting some Miss Gutierrez. Let me start getting some names here. John, Lucas, good morning. Okay, Oscar Lopez, Miss Paulino, Mr. Brown. Marina Martin, or Maria Martin, I should say. Miss Bravo Guzman, Miss Gutierrez, Miss Lopez, Alcantar, John, Lucas. Good morning, guys. Elena, Mr. Galindo, Joanna, Santiago, Anna, Jasmine. Good morning, Jasmine. Anna, Santiago, Anna Lavery. Give me 1 minute, guys, then we'll get rolling on this day. Okay, right now we have 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm getting way more than that. That's okay. Julio Sanchez, buenos dias. Okay, did some grading. Roman, good morning. I did some grading this morning. Couple of things. Okay, a couple of things. Make sure you follow instructions, right? I made that very, very, very painstakingly obvious. So, a 1 to 2 paragraph response isn't a 1 to 2 sentence response, okay? I can't honestly tell you the true definition of a paragraph. It's probably somewhere between 4 and 6 sentences. I don't really know. Good morning, Laura. But it is what it is. Isaiah, good morning. Make sure that you're following those instructions because that's what's expected of you. Isaiah Real, Carlos, right? I think. Belen Ruiz. Gotcha. Who else? Aldo. Andre. Daniel Huerta. Isaiah, yes. Good. Mr. Bautista. Jocelyn. Good morning, Jocelyn. Okay. So I was telling people, Isabel, good morning. I was telling people that make sure you're following instructions, right? I also got, a ton of emails about, I couldn't do this and I was late. And I don't need for you to tell me in an email that you're late or that you submitted a late assignment. I know, right? Canvas logs all of it. I can go see how long you've been on Canvas, how long you spent on an assignment. I know all of that. So two things. Number one, follow instructions, right? So today there will be an assignment for today's lecture. It's the lecture question for 831, which I will give you in a little bit. Good morning. And number two, make sure that you're just staying within the time frame. You follow instructions, you stay in the time frame, done deal. I can almost guarantee you'll get an A, right? So if it's a 1 to 2 paragraph response, have a 1 to 2 paragraph response. Do it by the end of class today. Done deal. That's it. That's all you got to do. On Wednesday, your assignment, 1 to 2 paragraph response or whatever it is down the road. The assignments are going to change down the road. Right now, I just want to kind of keep things fairly simple, keep things regular, get everyone kind of used to how this will go. And then as we get deeper into some material in the next couple of units, the assignments will change a little bit. Good morning, Ashley. And we'll just kind of take it from there. But make sure that you're staying on top of your stuff. It's not challenging at all unless you make it challenging, right? And then, the other email, well, there's no place to submit the assignment. Are you kidding me? That's what Canvas was designed for. Don't tell me there's not a place to submit your assignment. Tell me, hey, you know what? I don't know Canvas that well. Are there any resources I could use? Could you help me with it? And I'll tell you, no, I can't help you with it, but there's tech people on campus that can. And there's some tutorials in Canvas if you look around on how to do things. But typically, if you go to a page where you're finding your assignments, there's going to be an icon somewhere that says submit assignment or answer here or what have you, right? I made all of your assignments type in responses right there. I thought that was easier than trying to upload files. Last semester, I had issues with people. Well, it wouldn't accept this file and that in my computer, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Type it in right there. Click send. Done deal. Okay. If you have any questions about that or any other concerns, obviously you can comment here. If not, no big deal. Send me an email, but super easy. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Let's get it done. Moving on. Here we go. Okay. If you open up your Canvas page, you will see your graphic. We're still talking about the same thing here. We are talking about the dimensions of wellness, right? And today's dimension, there it is. Levi, you're using your little brother's YouTube. Perfect. Way to get it done. Sounds like you had issues with your YouTube, right? You can't use your YouTube, use someone else's, man. Whatever you got to do. I love it. I'm glad you got it done. Okay, Levi, there you are, brother. Gotcha. All right. Today, topic number one. Well, let's go back real quick. Last week, obviously, physical wellness, emotional wellness, intellectual wellness. Bada bing, bada boom. We got it. Today, we're going to talk about another three. We're going to talk about interpersonal wellness. We're going to talk about spiritual wellness. Then we're going to talk about environmental wellness. You notice in your in Canvas there, week 2, dimensions of wellness, that graphic, there's a section that says financial. We'll talk about that probably next week, I think, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Maybe the week after that. Finances are important. Finances are a big source of stress for most people. And as you get older, whether you're doing better or whether you're doing worse, money is always an issue, right? If you're making more money, more problems, dude. If you're not, obviously life gets more difficult, right? So financial, although it is a part of the dimensions of wellness, we're going to kind of separate that because there are some things that you can do with your money starting right now that'll change your life down the road drastically, right? That'll make things significantly easier for you, but you got to do it now, right? We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. Anyways, couple notes about interpersonal wellness as you take a look at the graphic. your graphic here says social, right? That's really what interpersonal means, because interpersonal is between two people, not intrapersonal, not you, yourself, and you, right? Interpersonal. In other words, how do you connect between people, right? How do you connect? How do you create good, lasting relationships? With that said, number one, communication, right? Crucial, 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 crucial. Um, when we have communication, we have really three things going on, right? First and foremost, you talk, right? Conveying the right message, conveying things with passion, with compassion, with urgency, are important, right? Making your point at the right time, important. Timing has a big part in relationships, right? In creating lasting relationships, timing has a big part of that, and that's something that there's no real plan for. You just got to kind of feel it out. You have listening, right? Obviously, a difference between listening and hearing someone, being an active listener to someone, making eye contact, having responses, probing, asking questions, right? People, if you don't ask any questions, it's assumed that you don't care. You ask the right amount of questions, that's the right thing to do. You ask too many questions, you're being nosy, right? So again, in all aspects of life, there's a little bit of balance that needs to take place. But listening, I'll kind of tell you what my father always told me. He would say, son, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, right? You should listen as twice as much as you speak. And that is typically good advice for most people, right? Or I would say. And then lastly, with communication, I think the most important thing is to recognize that a lot of communication is nonverbal, right? And I've seen this time and time again in interviews, right? Sitting on an interview committee, ready to hire a new instructor for our department. And we have the guy with the best resume. He's in a suit and tie, great dude, totally probably on paper the best candidate for the job. And then, you interview a couple more people. At the end of the day, you've got your last interview and the guy walks in, same thing, good resume. I mean, he's there for a reason, or she's there for a reason. Obviously, they're a good candidate. But there's just something about them that everyone kind of goes, hey, this one's a good fit. It feels right. They feel like they'd be good in our department. That nonverbal communication often dictates whether or not someone wants to continue a relationship with you. And you're constantly evaluating that as a person, whether you realize it or not. Just neurologically, your body is always interpreting the environment around you. You're always regulating sound and distractions. You're always regulating touch and feel. Sitting on a chair doesn't distract you from writing. When you write, your pencil tip doesn't break because you know what pressure to apply neurologically, right? Because your body's, again, always kind of balancing those things out. The same thing goes with feelings and emotions. Neurologically, your body is constantly interpreting, breaking down, and you sometimes kind of subconsciously, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but you decide whether or not this person warrants more of your attention, right? Or if your feelings are about this person are validated, right? You're constantly trying to validate your own feelings about this person, judging or balancing your feelings about feedback and watching them and evaluating them. That's constantly happening, especially in interpersonal relationships, right? So maintaining good communication just isn't necessarily about getting the right words out or hearing people and listening to them, but it's about that X factor, right? It's about interpreting the environment around you, and ultimately deciding consciously or even sometimes consciously whether or not you want to continue a relationship with someone. The other thing that probably is a big linchpin or a big important thing with interpersonal wellness, right, is the ability to cultivate a support system, right? Now, by a support system sounds like it's something huge. It doesn't need to be huge. What a support system does is kind of links things together. That's what support systems do, whether you're talking structurally or even like, digitally, things are interwoven to provide strength. And that's the same thing with relationships, right? What are you giving and what are you taking to provide a good experience for both people, right? These are typically rooted in very simple things, right? Like when you see someone, you smile. You make eye contact with them. You ask them how they're doing. But to be completely honest with you, people can be really selfish. By and large, most people probably act in a selfish manner. One of the best ways to get someone to like you, one of the best ways to develop relationships with someone is to ask them for help. I've taken a couple of organizational study courses when I was in college, and they both taught something very similar. And that is, especially in a work environment, in a professional work environment, asking for help is probably one of the most important things you can do to be liked. And I always kind of thought, what does that mean? Well, it means something very simple. It means that if someone's willing to help you, then subconsciously there's something in there that tells that person that they like you. I know that sounds really weird, but if I'm willing to help you, that means kind of instinctively, I like you. You're a likable person. So remember that. Remember that for a couple of reasons. Number one, frankly, you might need help. But number two, asking for help is a great way to develop a relationship with someone, is a great way to get to learn someone and have them learn you. Okay, spiritual wellness. This is kind of all over the place, right? So someone who practices good spiritual wellness, obviously they could incorporate church, they can incorporate prayer, they could incorporate yoga, right? They can incorporate caring for others and having meaning and purpose in one life, so in your life. Those are all important things. But probably the linchpin in this, probably the most important aspect of spiritual wellness is the altruistic nature of people. In other words, everyone wants to feel a part of something bigger than themselves, right? That's a pretty human characteristic. What do I mean by that? Go on Facebook, social media. I see it all the time. I have tons of people I see used to go to high school with, or even cousins that I know and friends and family. Everyone does, well, not everyone, but a lot of people do a lot of things for a lot of different people. I have a cousin who does an AIDS bike ride for AIDS awareness and breast cancer awareness, save the boobies. People are doing cancer walks. And I have a friend that reads to underprivileged kids in Southeast LA. Like he's goes in and just reads to them, like on Tuesday afternoons, goes in there and reads books to these kids at this youth center. Those are all examples of good spiritual wellness. Someone practicing that feeling of being a part of something that's greater than them. That act of, I have a duty, an obligation, a notion of service to my community, to my fellow man, to my people around me, to get out and do something important. Sometimes these manifest themselves in different ways. Sometimes you can work at a food bank or a food kitchen. Sometimes that's why a lot of people teach, because they just feel a duty to the people around them. Beach cleanup days and things like that. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there for you to be involved in those types of things, to practice good spiritual wellness. And if you haven't had that feeling, if you hadn't had that inclination, I worry about you, right? It's a pretty scary place to think that you haven't had any moment or time in your life where you feel like now's a good time to give back, right? Now's a good time to help out, to lend a helping hand. That's probably the most kind of basic, fundamental aspect of spiritual wellness, right? Being a part of something bigger than you. Okay. And then lastly, environmental. Environmental wellness. How do we cultivate environmental wellness? Number one, recycle. I know it sounds kind of crazy. And half of you probably are recycling things you can't even really recycle, like that greasy pizza box, throwing that in the recycling bin. Doesn't work. I think probably the most important thing is to limit, in general, just to limit the amount of waste that you have. And the way that you do that is actually eat better. I know that sounds kind of crazy. But there's a lot of statistics that show that people who just do a better job of eating like fruits and vegetables have less waste. I've heard stats like if every other house or every two houses on the average street in America had 3 chickens, right? So think about that for a minute. So if every 2 houses on each street had 3 chickens, right? So let's say you had a street of 10 houses on it. If 3 of those houses, 4 of those houses had 3 chickens, we would reduce the landfill amount by 20% annually. Think about that for a minute. Why? For a couple of reasons. Number one, if you have chickens, you end up feeding them your scraps, especially your vegetable scraps and your fruit scraps. So that reduces waste. It's their source of food, right? Having eggs is a great resource for people. There's less garbage right there. So those are just a couple of examples of just reducing and eliminating the amount of stuff that we throw away weekly. Repurposing things. Some of you, probably most of you are pretty young, but just down the road, when you get older and you have kids, keep all the cardboard. Keep it. Kids love cardboard. Don't ask me why. They freaking love it. My kids play in cardboard. They make castles out of it. They shove the cat in there and close the lid. They do all kinds of crazy stuff with cardboard. They draw on it. They put stuff in it. They just love having cardboard. Don't ask me why. They love bags, paper bags, all the stuff we get from Amazon, all the little boxes that you get. They love that stuff. Keep it around the house. The other thing is paper, especially just clean paper, can actually be turned into compost. So if you're gardening or stuff like that and you start a compost pile, throwing some of your paper in there actually adds to that compost, which actually helps amend your soil. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with it. So just eliminate, like repurposing egg crates and repurposing water jugs. And by all means, and I don't have it here, but getting yourself like a reusable water container, like a tumbler type thing, or, the dual walled plastic water bottles or water glasses. Try to use those in lieu of this, right? These are astronomically destroying the ocean. and a lot of our landfills. They take a long time to break down, and people have a tendency to use these too much, right? So just reducing the amount of things that you use and just throw away, right? And just forget about. Which kind of leads me to my assignment here. So here's your question. Get ready to write this down. I want you to Google the user pays principle boy, need to learn how to spell. The user pays principle and environmental sorry, it's Monday. I was at the lake this weekend. Still have a little smoke in the cockpit. Google the user pays principle in environmental economics. And write the definition. There it is. There's today's assignment. Google, right? So when we're done here, Google the user pays principle in environmental economics. Read it. I want you to read it and I want you to define it. Okay. And then next week, when we have our next lecture, I'm going to talk about the user pays principle because it's really freaking important when it comes to environmental wellness. Really, really freaking important. Probably the most important thing about environmental wellness that almost none of you know. I would be willing to bet you there's not one person who said, oh, the user pays principle. No, wrong. You haven't learned about it. Most important thing in environmental economics, most important thing in the environment, right? In studying and understanding the environment. Okay. Today, interpersonal skills, right? Communicating, talking, listening, nonverbal communication, crucial. Spiritual wellness, hey, the desire to be a part of something bigger than you, okay? It manifests itself in a lot of different things. In volunteerism and raising money and helping people out, even joining teams and social groups on campus. Those are exercises in spiritual wellness. And then environmental wellness, reducing, reusing, repurposing material around your house for fun or for different uses. But more significantly, user pays. Okay, look it up. That's your assignment due today. If you have any questions, hit me up. Guess what? Later.